So, I can't think of... I must have done a couple of videos. At least... There must have been at least 4 videos, maybe more, I have done on the fact that Nigel Farage doesn't give a crap about fishermen. We've gone over the many stories over the years about how basically he just doesn't care. And recently, he hijacked a fishing protest in, where is it? In Winstable. He basically just doesn't care. And, you know, this article just highlights how much, you know, he cares about the plight of the British fishermen. So the Brexit negotiations are something that I, some time ago, actively decided not to care about. There's only so much news one person can handle. So as we shuffle down the long inevitable path to our gloomy EU-less future, I have given the topic the wide berth. What's going to happen is going to happen, right? But I was roused from my political apathy this weekend by a loud ruckus on the beach across the street from my house. Here in Winstable, the local fishermen were out in force, demonstrating their displeasure with the way Brexit negotiations are going. They were part of a nationwide protest organised by a group called Fishing for Leave, and promises of control over UK waters when Britain leaves the EU next year have been dropped. They say meaning the transitional deal will be a death sentence for the Britain's fishing industry. Winstable is a working town, not just a twee tourist one. The harbour houses a busy asphalt factory, as well as fishing boats and equipment. There's no doubt that the fishing industry here, as it is across the UK, is beleaguered. With livelihoods at stake, small-scale fishing communities like Winstable are particularly hard hit. The demonstration was lively, circling fishing boats, sounding horns, red smoke from flares drifted across the sky. Crowds gathered and a carnival-like atmosphere prevailed. But then, most alarmingly, something horrible and hideous began to emerge from the water. Ex-UKIP leader Nigel Farage, in a boat and wearing in an indivisible ancora and tie combo, and his customary smug grin. To add insult to injury, another ex-UKIP leader is here, Henry Bolton, and his racist ex-girlfriend. The Daily Mail's words, not mine, came along too, for all the fun. Fun for all, isn't it? Yep, it seemed that the loathsome opportunist had turned up to hijack the demonstration, an ill-advised publicity stunt that involved burning EU flags and a wooden fishing boat renamed the Theresa May for the occasion. They are better informed people than me who can explain the ins and outs of the common fisheries policies, but why UKIP is wrong to blame the latter for destroying the British fishing industry. Writing in this newspaper, John Litchfield exposed the myths that UKIP and others had peddled about foreign boats and quotas. For one thing, the distribution of national quotas is the responsibility of the national government, not the EU. This means that while there is indeed an excellent case for the inshore fleet, that is, and those who fish within 12 miles of the shore, using boats mostly shorter than 10 metres, all the fishing boats in Winstable fall short of this category, being allowed a substantial increase in their share of the British catch, currently just 4%. This has nothing to do with Brussels. Strangely, this crucial point was not raised by Farage in Winstable. Busy as he was posing for selfies and sitting on and setting things on fire, it is palpably clear that fishermen need someone other than Farage on their side. He is not, as one of protesters' banners put it, the fisherman's friend. His voting record, while a member of the influential European Parliamentary Fisheries Committee, is utterly dire. Over 3 years, he turned up to one of the 42 meetings. And research by Greenpeace showed that during the 3 major votes on the common fisheries policies, Farage failed to vote in favour of improving the legislation. It is possible to be pro-fishermen and women and anti-Farage, a point that has been all but lost, thanks to the latter's circus of self-promotion. With the arrival of the toting windbag, the mood turned darker, and the debate polarised in a way that served nobody well. The fishermen turned against their perceived enemies, the pro-EU protesters, the Remainers, but there were many in Whitstable who supported a fairer deal for fishermen while strongly objecting to Farage's presence. But earlier Monday morning, the remains of the Theresa Mason were still smouldering on the beach, but it was business as usual for those out in their boats, including Nell Schilling, who was nonplussed about Farage's appearance at the protest. On the whole, it was a nice, peaceful demonstration, he said. At the moment, we haven't got a quota system. It's been taken from us. Politicians promised we would get it back, and now it looks like we're not getting it back. If anything, it will probably be worse for us. And with that, he was off, all ready for another day at sea. And if anyone needs a better explanation, Farage is not the fisherman friend. It is okay to be anti-EU, but not pro-Farage. Farage is not the is as I have said there, and it makes quite clear. Look, you know, he had an opportunity to help these people, and he didn't. And I've said this again in I don't know how many videos now, trying to say to these people, look, Farage will sell you down a river if he can. He is not. He's not your friend in this area, and as we've made very clear, this is yet another case where people have had mislaid grievances against the EU when it was the government that was at fault. And this is one of the things that had been going on for years, was that when it was the government who was clearly at fault, the minister or ministers, whoever in charge, would just shift the blame to Brussels and go, oh, you see, it's Brussels' fault, it's not our fault, when they were the ones who had the power to make changes, just as it has been explained in this article. And, and others have gone and explained why, the fallacy of, the EU is to blame for everything. It is not. It is the government that has been to blame for anything. And guess what? One of the things that is going to happen is that the government can no longer blame the EU, because we are no longer in the EU to blame. And I want to make that very clear, because I am looking forward to the first lot of ministers who start to blame the EU for things when it is now in their power and their solely responsibility, as it was when we were in the EU, to make these laws. We're just at an absolute deadlock, and it's just an absolute comedy. What else can you say about Brexit? It is just an absolute national joke, and he's made us the laughingstock of pretty much the entire world. We are going to be the sick man of Europe, just as we were before we joined the EU. So I hope you're ready to reclaim that moniker, because that's what's going to end up happening.